Have you ever noticed how the absolute best advice is usually, well, the shortest? Take this quote from Kevin Kelly: How to apologize. Quickly, specifically, sincerely. Now, at first glance, yeah, it just looks like a neat little tip for saying sorry. But actually, let's dive right into this because it's so much more than that. It's literally a profound ancient Stoic masterclass on human behavior, just hiding right there in plain sight. What this six-word rule leaves out is honestly just as important as what it puts in. Notice how it doesn't tell you to keep apologizing until the other person feels better, and it definitely doesn't tell you to grovel. It just gives you a super specific set of instructions for your behavior and your behavior alone. And honestly, that perfectly captures the whole core of inner control. It comes down to this: you manage your preparation, your execution, and your reaction, and then you just let the rest go. Your apology is your play on the field. How it's actually received is entirely up to the other person. Think about it. Almost every single misery we face, right? The grudges we hold on to, worrying about our reputation, getting furious when things go wrong, it all stems from confusing what we can control with what we literally cannot. So the formula is beautifully simple here. Do your part well, then release. So, welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this today. Our big goal here is to take all this dense, centuries-old philosophy and actually translate it into a tangible, visual blueprint for living well. We're going to build what we like to call the architecture of a good day. Because let's face it, building a truly good life, it doesn't just happen by accident. It requires some actual structure. Here is the exact blueprint we're going to construct together today. First, inner control. Second, durable resilience. Third, purpose beyond yourself. Fourth, calm under pressure. And finally, number 5, one good day, repeated. If we picture this visually, right at our root, the very foundation, we have inner control. Growing up from there, 2 major branches or pillars extend outward: durable resilience on one side and purpose beyond self on the other. Right in the middle, we have our specific daily practices, and the whole thing is supported at the base by one ultimate culminating action. So let's grab our hard hats and start building. Section 1. The power of inner control. Okay, so before we can do literally anything else, we have to figure out how we're going to process all the overwhelming noise and input of the modern world. To pull this off, we need to become what Jonathan Lockwood Huey calls a passionate observer of life. It breaks down like this. There is the event, which is simply what happens out there in the world, and then there is the emotion, which is what happens inside you. Here is the absolute kicker. Confusing these two things is the root source of almost all of our avoidable suffering. We think the terrible traffic jam is what makes us angry, but it actually doesn't. The traffic jam is just the event. The anger is the internal emotion we're generating in response to it. Untangling those two, that is exactly where true inner control begins. Moving right along to Section 2, Building Durable Resilience. So now we need a strategy for how we're actually going to endure and make progress over the long haul. And Seth Godin has this absolutely brilliant comparison that hits the nail on the head. Imagine a Formula One race car. It is built for pure, unadulterated speed, but it's incredibly brittle. Sure, a Formula One car will easily win on a flawlessly paved track. But if you try taking that $1 million machine over a standard speed bump at the local grocery store on a rainy Tuesday, it's going to shatter into a million pieces. And that's exactly what happens to us when we optimize our lives for ideal conditions. When we over-leverage ourselves, we become brittle. We shatter the second we hit an ordinary pothole. Now, contrast that with the turtle. The turtle is the ultimate symbol of durable resilience. The turtle doesn't care if the track is ideal or perfectly paved. It just keeps moving, reliably, day after day after day. Look, we all feel this immense cultural pressure to be that Formula One car, right? To get that blazing fast but totally brittle head start. But the reality is, durability compounded over time is the real secret sauce behind those quiet victories. The kind of victories that don't even look like you're winning while they're happening. So many people just throw in the towel because they feel like they aren't moving fast enough, but they're completely missing the fact that slow progress is still progress. The turtle ends up winning the long game for one simple reason: it doesn't shatter when the weather changes. Up next is Section 3, Finding Purpose Beyond Yourself. Now we get to explore what actually drives us forward. Fulfilling our purpose relies super heavily on researcher Angela Duckworth's idea that true purpose fundamentally means knowing your work actually matters to people other than just yourself. As Ralph Waldo Emerson famously put it, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. And, this perfectly mirrors an ancient Salish teaching that everything on Earth has a purpose and every single person has a mission. So the real work of life isn't just about surviving, it's about finding that sweet spot, that alignment between your internal identity, who you actively decide to be, and what the world actually needs from you. It's about consciously choosing your life rather than just letting it happen to you. We do have to be really careful here, though, because purpose can so easily get corrupted. Mahatma Gandhi provides a really vital contrast for us to keep in mind. He pointed out that fulfilling our true purpose satisfies our needs, which is a deeply fulfilling feeling. But the trap we often fall into is greed. And greed is completely insatiable. You can never get enough. When we are genuinely doing what we're meant to do for others, that exhausting, compulsive drive to hoard wealth or chase validation or hoard security, it actually tends to quiet down. Not because we forced it away, but simply because accumulating all that stuff just becomes way less interesting than the purposeful work itself. Which brings us to Section 4, staying calm under pressure. Okay, so we've built our foundation and our two pillars, but, no structure exists in a vacuum, right? Eventually, it has to face the weather. So let's look at how author Robert Greene recommends handling the toxic forces that are definitely going to stress test this new mental architecture you're building, specifically manipulative people and heated arguments. People who try to destroy your equilibrium usually do it by creating constant, overwhelming pressure. But Greene's antidote? It isn't to aggressively fight back. It's actually to maintain complete, absolute stillness. And don't mistake this calm for passivity. It is a highly active, incredibly strategic superpower. By staying totally calm, you're literally depriving aggressors of the emotional fuel they need to manipulate you. You become incredibly hard to read and basically impossible to exhaust. To borrow our earlier metaphor, the brittle Formula One car can't handle potholes. Well, when dealing with manipulative people, you need to become the pothole that they simply cannot navigate. But what about when you get into a totally genuine, normal disagreement? Well, Leo Tolstoy actually gives us a really precise 3-step method for handling arguments. Step 1, soften your words. Step 2, keep your heart and your convictions hard. And step 3, pass truth along with love. Tolstoy made this brilliant observation that people usually reject the truth, not because they disagree with the facts, but because they absolutely hate the form in which it's delivered to them. So the lesson here is to hold the line on what you know is right, absolutely, but refuse to let an angry, aggressive delivery totally undermine your point, because at the end of the day, form matters just as much as content. And finally, Section 5, one good day repeated. All right, this brings us to the climax of our explainer. This is where we're going to strip away all those grand illusions about changing your entire life overnight, and we're going to completely redefine a deeply misunderstood concept. See, we usually think of passion as this ultimate engine for doing great work. We think that caring deeply means you have to feel these wild, intense, burning emotions. But, and this is wild, in the original Stoic sense, coming from the Latin root patior, passion actually means to endure, to undergo, or even suffering. So in this ancient framework, passion is actually volatile reactivity. It basically means you are just an object that events are happening to. Which brings us to this totally counterintuitive passage. Be free of passion, but full of love. What on earth does that mean? Well, it means that we should really strive to act from a stable, precise center, rather than acting out of emotional turbulence and reactivity. Being free of passion doesn't mean being a cold, emotionless robot. Being full of love is that steady, fundamental warmth that you have left over for others when you finally stop being so incredibly volatile. It turns out you can be deeply, completely committed to something without all that burning volatility that just exhausts you and everyone around you. And when you finally free yourself from that brittle, reactive state, it's like a lock just clicks open. Think about the immense amount of energy you used to waste on getting upset, on confusing the event with your emotion, on nursing old grudges. All of that energy, it is now entirely freed up. You can take all of it and redirect it powerfully into your work, into your true purpose, and into the people you actually care about. You can literally put more energy into your dreams than into your fears. How amazing is that? So here we are back at the very base of our architecture. Now look, a system this complete with inner control, durable resilience, purpose, calmness, it can honestly paralyze you if you try to implement the whole shebang all at once for the rest of your life. So we're just not going to do that. The ultimate radical operating instruction for all of this is beautifully, wonderfully simple. Have one good day and repeat it. That's it. Strip away all the big abstractions. Don't worry about fixing your whole entire life today. Focus solely on executing a single day well. And then, tomorrow, you just wake up and do it again. I want to leave you today with a really powerful framing from the physician William Osler. He advised us to deliberately curate our history. Think about that. You don't actually have to carry every single mistake, every grudge, or every failure with you. You get to choose what comes next. So, looking at the entire architecture we've built together today, the inner control, the durable resilience, the purpose beyond yourself, I want you to ask yourself, which parts of your past will you consciously choose to carry forward into your tomorrow? Decide who you're becoming, have one good day, and I will see you next time.